Hey, ladies and gents, it's Zembak, and we are doing the AH-1G Generation 2 attack helicopter for the Americans. Um, okay, so 1950s, 1960s, the United States Army came up with the idea of air cavalry. Essentially, what it would be is that with the use of helicopters, they wouldn't fight prolonged fights, they wouldn't hold ground. They would use the helicopters to shuttle soldiers to their choice of fights, right? That was the whole concept of the air cav. They wouldn't fight, like I said, prolonged battles. They wouldn't try to hold ground, but they would be, over a wide distance. They would be able to choose their fight, be able to get in and get out with those helicopters, specifically the UH-1. However, they did realize that they needed something to protect those helicopters. So the idea of the attack helicopter kind of came about. Bell, in the late 1950s, decided they were going to, let's work on this concept. Let's work on this idea of a purpose-built attack helicopter. This wasn't going to carry troops. This wasn't going to carry anything. Just be a gunship. So late 1950s, they started working on it. 1960s, 62, they put a proposal out to the U.S. military for this design. The U.S. military was like, hey, yeah, all right, cool. Give me a proof of concept. So Bell came up with what was come to be known as the Bell Model 207 Sioux Scout. And you can, of course, see some of the lines that eventually would become the Cobra. So the 207 came out. Military liked it. They're like, this is pretty sweet. However, they liked the idea. They didn't like the helicopter. They thought this thing was too lightly armored, wasn't protected as well, didn't have enough protection, blah, blah, blah. So they decided to go in a different direction, and they started a concept for a heavy attack helicopter. This eventually would lead to the Cheyenne, which kind of, it was a precursor of the Apache. The Cheyenne was developed all the way up to 1972, and it just didn't work out. It was supposed to be a heavy attack helicopter with high speed. However, the design concept just didn't work out. So, while the U.S. military was waiting for that project to work, to come to an end, and order the helicopter, we're obviously fighting in Vietnam, and we still needed a attack helicopter. So they put out to several helicopters, other helicopter companies, give us an interim attack helicopter until this Cheyenne or this heavy helicopter project comes, so we can get that started to be produced. Bell never went with that whole idea. They actually weren't even invited to be in the competition. They stayed with the light attack helicopter concept. So that was, of course, 1963. They decided, okay, so they didn't like our first helicopter. Let's work on it a little bit more. So the Model 207 morphed into what would become known as the Model 209, which was the first prototype AH-1G. So this interim program, looking for a helicopter to bridge the gap until we could get the heavy helicopter concept working, they accepted the AH-1G Cobra to be the helicopter, of course, in 1965. 1966, they started producing the very first AH-1G. Some of the idea, obviously this was a good idea because this helicopter used the same engine and the same rotor assembly as the UH-1, the Huey. So there was a cross parts use between the utility helicopter and the attack helicopter, which obviously makes sense. So 1967, they started taking delivery of the Cobra and shipping them to Vietnam. Once in Vietnam, they they picked up the slack of escorting transport helicopters. They used these in with the OH-6, the Loach, in kind of a hunter-killer teams, where they would use the Loach as bait, and then the Cobra would come in and clean up whatever they spotted. Quite successful in Vietnam. They produced about 1,116, I believe, from 1967 to 1973. They lost about 300 of these helicopters in Vietnam to either enemy fire or accidents. But yeah, they did what they were supposed to do. So by the time they got to 1973, ended production. The Cheyenne never came about. It was decided that the concept didn't work. By that time, they of course started working on what would become known as the Apache, in the mid 70s. But they still had, like I said, 1,100 of these helicopters were built. Still roughly about 800 of them were still flying. So this became the main attack helicopter for the United States Army. All the way up until, I believe, 1999, before it was finally phased out in favor of the Apache. 1968, I'm sorry, I got a little too ahead of it, but we'll have to go do the other part of the service, which was the Marines, who decided that they wanted this helicopter as well. So in 1968, instead of the single engine, they wanted a twin engine. So Bell produced the twin engine Cobra, which was produced for, I still believe they might even still be being produced, because the Marines still use the Cobra as their main attack helicopter. Obviously much changed. The AH-Z model is what it's called. The Viper is extremely advanced attack helicopter. It's used some of the obviously the equipment off the Apache and that kind of stuff. But I do believe they are still being produced. I'll have to look that up. I'm sorry if I didn't. I totally forgot that the Marines, the Zulu model of the Cobra, like I said, still being used by the Marines. By 1999, of course, these things were already outdated, so they shipped them off to allies. Israel, Jordan, Palestine, Turkey, all received shipments of the AH-1 Cobra. Kind of also an interesting thing is, I believe 25 plus were turned over to the Forestry Service and used as firefighting helicopters. Some of them were able to carry flame retardant chemicals, and others were used with their actual FLIR to spot hot spots in forests. They were, this is what the Forest Service were using them for. So I'm going to bring up some gameplay for you, and you guys can check out what the Cobra is all about. Hey guys, back with some gameplay with you with the AH-1 Cobra. I do enjoy the attack helicopters, like I said, but they don't really operate. I mean, I shouldn't say don't. You can, but if you value your HP in this helicopter, you want to make sure you kind of suppress the AA a little bit here. Of course, I got the 20mm Vulcan, the 40mm grenade launcher, and of course 21 Hydra missiles here. And I'm flying here mostly in support of this transport helicopter here. I'm going to drop down here and give him some cover if he does decide to run into some problems here. We have a incoming from landing zone 6 here. We have to defend it. We're going to drop down in here, put some 20s and some 40s into that ground target. I don't get too many hits, but hey, what are you going to do here? It's one of the reasons why I like the 20s. Go back to the Hydras for the more heavily armored targets. Haven't lost a whole lot of health here, so I'm looking for. Here we go. And this is kind of what it works pretty well with running with a light helicopter, because he is finding me things to shoot at here. Switch to the 20s here. We're going to see if we can pick up some ground targets. There we go. You gotta love that. Pull in here. Got one more vehicle here, lightly armored vehicle here. finish him off, and we've of course defended the number 6 here. So I'm gonna, which is kind of weird. It should have been by now picked over here, but it didn't. I'm at 27 health, and like I said earlier, yeah, they take a beating, not real well, but yeah, they for the most part can take some shots. I'm not impressed with the attack helicopters as much as I am, say, like the light tank here. So I'll pull in here, looking for some targets. We got some ground targets here, some lightly armored vehicles here, and I'm just going to start laying some 40s down on them, finish them off. So we've taken 5, and we're going to wait for 6, because we got the enemy convoy en route from 3 to 5. I don't have enough health to get too carried away here. I do have a AH-1 with me, so I'm not terribly worried about not seeing what is coming in here. He's already picked up the part of the convoy coming in. We're going to work our way around the corner here. I'm still playing a little bit... I'm playing it light, I guess. Maybe that's the word. I can't believe he charged in there, but he did. That is not good. I do believe right now, like I said, the AH-1, of course, is using the mortars and starting to drop mortars on 3. So now he's picked up the convoy here. We're going to switch to the 20s, and I'm going to start working over some of these light ground targets. The 20 does work pretty well for this. Light ground targets, not always the easiest thing to hit with troops with them, but like I said, ground targets, the 20mm does a pretty nice job here. So we finished off the convoy en route from 3 to 5. We're going to work our way back over here. I'm still waiting for 6 to pop, saying that we completed it. I don't know if there's some more troops over there or what that's hiding. So I'm going to go loiter over 6 here and see if I can find any baddies and see what happens here. They've worked in on 3. I'd really like to get this objective done. So I move over 6 here. Like I said, I'm going to wait here a little bit and see if anything helps. Pick up the missile coming in here, and you can hear the ch-ch-ch-ch-ch. That's my flares going off. We're going to hang out over 6 here for a little bit here. Pick up some ground targets on the ground. Switch to the 40. Finish off a man pad, a heavy machine gun, and a soldier. That's always nice. The 40s are nice because they have, with that little turret in the front, you can start nailing stuff at about, not quite 180 degrees, but pretty close off of the direction you're headed. Moving over 6 here, about 50 seconds before this is done, and see if we'll get the objective. Destroy enemy soldiers around landing zone 9. I don't, like I said, I don't have eyes. It makes it a little more difficult to deal with ground targets when you can't see them. That's always nice when you have the AH-1 with you, because he's going to pick up the ground targets for me. And this is kind of the concept of Heliborne, is working as a team, probably more than just about anything. Yeah, you can try to do this by yourself. You're just going to die and crash a lot. However, like I said, having a light helicopter with you does wonders for doing this here. So he's already picked up a couple targets here. I'm going to go assist him. 6 is just about done here. We should get it to failed. Start popping flares here, and I'm going to start working on these ground troops here with the 40s. The 40s are nice because you can, if you have a bunch of targets you can't see, which happens quite often, they get in those tree rows, you can't really see them very well. The 40s, you can just lay out a line of explosions and pick up any targets you can't see in the bushes. You can get a general idea, by tracers and whatnot. So we've cleared that objective here. I'm going to return to base here and pick up some health and some more ammo. Now we've got 5 of 12 so far done. This video, when I first started out, I didn't have any help, so I was kind of dicking around here. But now that I have 2 more players with me, this is going to make it infinitely easier. Honestly, you can do most of this stuff if you have enough mortar teams for your white helicopters. A lot of the stuff you can do, you don't really need an attack helicopter. There is a few things that this thing does better than light helicopters is of course the amount of ordnance you carry. You can extend your time over target by quite a bit. But once again, without that mortars cruise, it's hard to deal with some of these objectives that have heavy AA. So you got to kind of pick your targets, you know. Really pick your targets. But that's, like I said, once again, not saying you can't take out AAs with this. You're just going to lose a lot of health. And if you're not on target, you don't get all 4 of them. They have a tendency to pretty much rip you apart. So we've got capture landing zone 5 done. We destroy enemy positions at landing zone 1. So I'm heading over to landing zone 1 with these guys to give them some assistance. He's finding the AH-1, and of course we picked up the locate and destroy enemy soldiers around landing zone 7. So they're going to go work on 3 and 1, and I'm going to go over here and see if I can pick up this objective, which of course is find the baddies hiding in the trees. Not the easiest thing to do without some assistance from a light helicopter here. And this is what I was talking about, the 40s, just laying out a large amount of explosions. Let's see if I can pick up. I know they're sitting here. There's one. There's an RPG right there. Here, we'll finish him off. And since you have to fly so freaking low to get down here to find anything to shoot at, finally picked up one of the ground troops. There's the 40s working with that turret. And now I'm still looking, like I said, I know there's at least one man pad here because I just got shot from him. Start popping my flares. I'm not sure if he was a man pad or an RPG here. I know there was something in there. And you'll, like I said, once again, with the 40 millimeters, it lets you do that. It has a nice little, pretty decent explosion radius, so you can pick up some of them targets here. So I find in here something shooting at me. Where you at, buddy? Looking. No. Yeah, we'll put something up there and see if there's anything. No. Oh, there we go. Now we got something. Oh, there's our rocket launcher, wherever the fuck he's at. There we go. So one soldier down here. I'm just peppering the ridge and see if there's anything else sitting in there. Love the 40s. So I know there's at least one more RPG, maybe man pad sitting in here somewhere. We're just going to see if we can find him here before I get hit. I got 1% of my health left. Oh, shit. Round we go. Where'd you go, buddy? Come on. You almost got to just fly around and see if you can get him to... oh, there we go. Now I picked him up. He's over here somewhere. We'll pepper that area and see if we can find him. Nothing. Not a thing. Where'd you go? Where are you? This is what I was talking about with the attack helicopter. It just doesn't have the view range to find this stuff. Here comes AH-1 in here. He's going to start helping me strafe this. Trying to knock anything out here. There, finally, he shows up. And I fucking flew over this once already. Pulled down here, picked him up. There was the man pad. And we completed that objective. Down on health, so it's time to flip back to objective here, or return to base. Try to heal up a little bit here and pick up some more ordnance. Not once again, I'm not saying I don't like attack helicopters. They're just not. Maybe it has to do with the missions. Most of the time, like a Huey seems to be far more effective. You have firepower. You have the ability to extract troops, and you also have the ability to capture zones. So this helicopter, unless you can get a team of 3, where you can pull, light helicopters and transport helicopters together, and you find the attack helicopter, there's just not a whole lot for this thing to do, in my opinion, in these kind of maps. So now that we have 3. Yep, now we have 3 other guys playing here, so it's going to be a little bit easier for me. I'm going to move on over here and just going to assist in escorting some of these helicopters. There's an ACH-47. He's moving in on his landing zone 9. We're up to 912 right now. He's going to drop down and see what he can pick up the objective here. Picked up the landing zone. We're up 10 already. And I'll go see if I can assist over here. And this is kind of what this thing does pretty well, of course, is the escort mission. Just keeping your transport helicopters from getting wrecked. So, start popping chaff, because I'm not sure what the hell's going on here. Something's over here shooting at me. We're going to go see if we can find the enemies in the marked area. Pick up a bunch right here. We'll lay out some 40s. Picked up 2 heavy machine guns. And like I said, even with the heavy machine guns and not the AA, I've already, lost 60% of my health here. However, find these guys. Pick up the 40s. Oh, shit. Like I said, I love those 40s. They do a great job of, simply annihilating everything in the general area. Alright, pick up one more set of troops here. We're going to finish him off, knock him out. And I do believe we're going to get the win here shortly. Capture landing zone 4. And I'm going to go over here and see if I can give this guy a hand. Yep, picked up the win. So. Alright guys, back with a little bit more action here in the Cobra. Coming in here, we got a couple sets of troops here to extract here, so I'm going to go in here and see if I can clear out as many as these blue baddies can, so my transport helicopter can come in here. Start looking around here for targets. Of course, I'm getting wrecked. Find one more just to be a man pad. Oh, there we go. And this is kind of what this thing does pretty well. Ground troops, armored convoys, that kind of thing. Pull around here. Oh, there we got some stuff hiding here in the trees. With, like I said, with those 40s, they do a pretty nice job of eliminating groups of concentrations of ground troops here. So I got a CH coming in here, ACH coming in here. We're just gonna, like I said, I am aerial denial, maybe that's the better word for it here. I'm looking for ground targets here so he can land and pick up those, extract those troops. So flying cover here. He's picked them up here. And now he's going to be heading back here. So I'm going to go over here and see if we can find the last objective, which is find and destroy enemy infantry in the marked area. Not a whole lot running around here. Let's see here. Nothing over here. Nothing over here. We're going to run to probably over by objective 8. Oh, picked up some fire from something. Probably 6. Yeah, those heavy AA guns at the objectives are a pain. We're going to have to fly a little bit further south here and then work back toward 8. See if we can pick up the objective there. He's dropped those troops at the base, which should be popping that objective being done. Yeah, there it's done. So I'm going to run over to 8 here. 10's blue, so I want to stay below tree cover, whatever, and not get pummeled by 10. Moving in here to 8 here. I know I got some troops here. Oh crap. Missiles, missiles, missiles. Oh, there's something up on the ridge. We're just going to stop working this ridge here with some hydras. See if we can pick anything up here. Nothing. And we'll brush the tight treetops. Maybe give them a little bit of trim. Alright, so I'm not picking up anything yet. And that's one of the things without having a light helicopter, you have to fly so fucking low to, see them. Or at least pick up some of the tracers here. Nothing yet, so okay, I have a pretty good idea where they're at. They're on the other side of the ridge here. Oh, shit. I have an ACH here with me. He must have picked up something here. Put a couple hydras in there to help him out. We're going to pop the ridge here. Still working with the hydras. There we go. Now I found them. There's at least a couple over here. Oh, there we go. Picked up a bunch of the baddies. And we've picked up the objective here. So still sitting at 45%. I'd have 3 rockets left. I got my 20mm Vulcan, and of course I have my 40mm grenade launchers. So I'll come over here and help the ACH out here and see what we can do. Once again, fucking rockets everywhere. There we go. Picked him up. We'll see if here we can find out what is shooting at us over here. just give a quick strafe here. There we go. Now we picked him up. I want to get down below the ridge. I really don't want to have to deal with that 6's AA here. We're just going to lay in a bunch of 40 millimeters here to suppress that fire. ACH is coming in here. There we go. Now we picked up the rest of them. But they are an accurate bunch of dickheads. Amazing how much AK-47s will do to you. So, eliminated a few more of them. We picked up another player. So, this is going to be just a little bit easier, I hope. Sitting at 17% here. And I'm going to see if I can finish off this off. I didn't pick up the rest of them. Not sure where they're all at. However, I've taken too much damage. And it's time to RTB. Fairly quick. You know, moving here at 216 kilometers an hour. And heading to base. See if we can pick up some, get a little heal here. We got 5.5 coming in here, 5.56 coming in here with some, he's slung some loads. Looks like he's probably carrying ammunition maybe. Hopefully he drops it. Probably at 7. That makes it a little easier. You can reload there instead of having to come all the way back to RTB. But however, I only have 2% health, so we're going to drop down here and heal up a little bit here. We're at 8 to 12, or 8 of the 12 objectives. Drop in. I like the fact that they've increased the heal and the reload time. Otherwise, you sit here for long periods of time waiting for it the old way, I guess. Obviously, I wasn't paying attention because I just took off with 67%. I thought once the everything was reloaded, we would have been good to golden, but nope. Oh well, I'm a noob. What are you going to do? Picked up another objective here. So, we got find and destroy enemy infantry in the marked area. We're going to go see if we can give this guy some support. He's headed that way right now. I don't remember what he's in. I think, well, one's in a Huey, one was in an ACH. So, it should be interesting without the, any sort of scout helicopters. It's going to be a little more interesting. Pull in on objective. He looks like he's working something over already. And we have a extract at 10. So, let's see. I'm going to go give this guy some help first, and then we'll see what happens. He's coming over here too. With Chinook. Swinging back around here. And I think I'm going to try to see if I can take 4. UH-1D and the ACH are both making a run on him. Switch to my Hydras. See if we can knock out one AA position. We've cleaned A4 out. And now it's going to be a little bit easier here to find the enemy targets. Never mind, we picked that up already. Huh, not too shabby. So we got landing zone 10. We need an extract there. And I'm just going to follow these guys, try to give them some fire support. The UH-1's a little bit slower than I am, but however, the ACH is just fucking balls faster than I am. I think he can almost 300 kilometers an hour, I think is what he can do. Full out. So I'm going to follow the UH-1. He's headed 10 for the extract. He's going to fly a little support here. And you know, you're playing this pretty much a historical. You know, this is what the Cobra did. You know, they're not God in this game when it comes to dealing with a bunch of targets. A lot of times you're going to find yourself flying just these kind of missions right here, which is just support. Making sure they can finish off the mission. Start slowing down here a little bit here, drop a little lower here, and see if I can pick up any ground targets. Or some ground fire, which is always good. Yeah, I'm just going to throw some 40s in there. I already have enough, so waiting for him to pick up the extract, which would be, of course, finish off another mission. And we have capture landing zone 1. This should be interesting. Landing zone 1 is usually the most heavily defended with AA, ground troops, and vehicles. So, waiting for the Huey to take off. And I do believe he's got his extract done. He's got the troops. He just has to return to base, and we will finish that objective. So, capture landing zone 1. I've got 2 players headed that way here, so I'm gonna put the nose down and go over here and see if I can give him a little bit of help. So I targeted point 1. Everybody's headed that way, and you're going to see some of the reason why these things. I mean, yeah, it's an attack helicopter, but it doesn't. Anything with a large amount of AA or man pads are a bitch to deal with. He's going to pull in here. Those 2 are swinging wide over 3. I'm going to swing closer to 4 and see what we can do here. 2 objectives complete. We just have 1 left, which of course is going to be the 1. And hopefully, game over. Headed to 1. Oh, yep, they're already firing on those guys incoming. Put a couple rounds out there and realized I was just a little too far out. There we go. Pick up the AA here. Oh, and I dumped a bunch of shots. Take a beating. And that's one of the reasons why assault helicopters can't entirely do it by itself. So, we've picked up the objective, and we are almost done. So, thanks for watching, guys, with the AH-1 Cobra. I hope that didn't look like too much of a noob. We'll see you guys later.